Homily for the 22nd Sunday of the year C, the virtue of humility. Please, if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing and share this homily with others. Our readings for this Sunday are from Sirach, chapter 3, verse 17 to 20 and 28 to 29. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 18 to 19 and 22 to 24. And the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 14, verse 1 and 7 to 14. Jesus identified himself so closely with the suffering poor that he declared in Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 to 46, that what we do to the hungry, the naked, the stranger, the sick, and the prisoner, we do to him. He was always very gentle and kind with the poor, but often very hard on the rich and the powerful. Like the prophets of old, Jesus comforts the afflicted and afflicts the comfortable, as it were. This is what is known as Jesus' preferential option for the poor. Jesus' own life of humility. Jesus Christ was born in a manger in Bethlehem and raised in the small town of Nazareth. When he began his ministry, he surrounded himself with poor fishermen as disciples. They were doctors of the law, people who trained under the renowned Rabbi Gamaliel. And there were other highly educated as well as rich people at the time. But Jesus chose to surround himself with poor fishermen, tax collectors, and prostitutes. He fraternized with the poor and the despised people. He had nowhere to lay his head, and he rejected the devil's temptation to demonstrate power and glory, as we see in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 to 11. He washed the feet of his disciples and submitted himself to a humiliating death on the cross. These are powerful lessons in humility. Jesus calls all those who have been beaten by the travails of life, all who have labored and are overburdened by unemployment and poverty, by disease and bereavement, loneliness and abandonment, discrimination and persecution, physical and mental handicap, insecurity, etc., to come to him and find their rest, because he is meek and humble of heart. In this way, Jesus reveals the face of Yahweh, who is known as the Father of orphans, defender of the widow, and friend of the poor. Jesus' teaching on humility. With his spectacular life of humility and the manner in which he treated the poor and the lowly, Jesus reverses all established social norms, standards, and conventions. While the champions of this world urge people to go for it, to conquer the world, to blow their own trumpet, to fight their way to the top, to be aggressive and to be assertive, Jesus teaches that the greatest among us is the one who serves. While everyone is struggling for more wealth, more power, more prestige, and more celebrity status, Jesus urges his followers to seek the lowest place. Christian humility is indeed a sign of contradiction to a world that promotes the proud and celebrates the arrogant. Materialism and consumerism. Today's world is plagued by vanity and vainglory, immodesty and showmanship, as well as ignorance and presumption. Many people, especially young people, are caught up with what has come to be known as acute celebrity syndrome, by which popular entertainment and sports personalities and extremely wealthy people are adored and celebrated almost to the point of idolatry. Such a world makes little or no room for the poor and the weak, the blind and the lame, the widow and the orphan. Yet, it is in their company that Jesus was found most of the time. Our world makes little or no room for a successful person who is frugal, humble and modest, but it is the way of Jesus. The virtue of humility. Jesus' paradoxical teaching on humility can be summarized as follows. 1. Do you want to find your life? Lose it. 2. Do you want to be first? Be last of all. 3. Do you want to be the greatest? Be servant of everyone. 4. Do you want the crown of glory? Take up your cross. And 5. Do you want to be exalted? Be humble. Jesus does not try to water down, couch them in such a way as to make them more easily acceptable or apologize for any of these. He states things the way they are, and you take them or you leave them. Humility is the most characteristic Christian virtue, the mother and guardian of all virtues, the solid foundation of the virtuous life, the doorway to genuine Christian life, the pathway to true greatness, and the first step to salvation. According to the evangelist D.L. Moody, to begin the life of greatness, be little. To increase the life of greatness, be less. To perfect the life of greatness, be nothing. Jesus exemplified this for us. Rabindranath Tagore, the Indian mystic and writer, says of humility, "We come nearest to the great when we are great in humility." We come nearest to the great when we are great in humility. On Ash Wednesday each year, we hear it drummed into our ears that we are dust and shall return to dust. This is the truth of who we really are. Humility is not thinking less of ourselves, but thinking of ourselves less. Sin came through the pride of Lucifer, but salvation came through the humility of Jesus. Whereas pride constitutes a barrier between us and God and between us and our neighbor, humility facilitates in us the conditions for the closest possible intimacy with God and the greatest possible relationship with our neighbor. Humility is therefore living up to the truth of who we really are before God, and nothing sets us so much out of the devil's reach as humility. God bless you.